The power of community is one of those core values. It is the foundation of which long-lasting change is built. We believe that school communities should hold decision-making authorities over their staff, program, and budget. When OUSD granted communities more of these freedoms mid-2000, we saw tremendous persistent academic and cultural improvement. You will have 4 minutes to answer the following questions. I believe that schools should have decision-making authority over their operations. I believe that the central office should manage most decisions in the district. Which of these statements best describe your opinion on district schools government, and what do you see as the implication for schools, families, and teachers? Please be specific in addressing the area of staff, program, and budget.
Thank you for your question. So I think I had trouble with this question because I agree with both statements, but I think the one that resonates with me the most based on my context is that I believe that schools should have decision-making authority over their operations. And this is because I have seen how schools have been able to transform their communities, their schools, and boost student achievement with support from the district and being flexible. I myself attended one of the schools that came out of the small school autonomous policy, and that was Ascent, and I benefited from my education there. That's when the switch happened, and that's when I believed I was going to college. And that didn't happen just randomly. It happened because there were school structures that were set up by the principal and the administrative team that allowed for flexibilities to happen. One of them, for example, was that I was able to have the same teachers and loop with them from 6th to 8th grade. I had them for 3 years, and that experience was transformational for me. I don't think that had the school not had those hiring, staffing flexibilities, they would have been able to do that. And in that way, we were able to build a really strong relationship with our teachers that led to student achievement and engagement. I think that schools should have a level of autonomy in terms of governance, staffing, and program. Each school will vary, so I work at a STEM school, for example. I think that that's a different context than even Ascent. In another school that's in the same CMO. And so I think that we need to allow principals to have that flexibility in order to make sure that we are serving kids, because different schools have different needs and different schools serve different populations, and that's a fact, and we need to make sure that we are allowing for the people who are doing the groundwork and who are teaching and being administrators of those schools to accurately diagnose what's going on and help out and address those problems. I don't think that a central office producing a cookie cutter model or solution for every school will work in every school context. And so this is why I'm in support of schools having autonomy and having a level of decision-making power in their school context. I have also seen how budget decisions for teachers as a teacher can be very personal. I don't agree with every budgeting decision that happens on my site, but I do appreciate that my site administrator has involved us in conversations about budget and what we see in our classrooms and what we see will best serve the needs of our students in our classroom. Again, I'm a classroom teacher, and I think that's one of my advantages that I bring a fresh perspective. I've been in the classroom, and oftentimes there are people who have never been in a school or have never witnessed what happens at schools, making decisions about schools, and I have seen the impact. I have experienced the impact of that myself as a teacher. And so we need to have teachers who are equipped and who know what's going on in order to know how to best serve our students. We know our students best, and I think teachers, if we give autonomy to schools, those leaders can create systems and structures that create voice in teachers that can affect change and that can lead to better best practices and better serving our students here in Oakland.
I just have a quick follow-up question on that. So you spoke to like being divided between those two statements. Right? So what was it about the central control statement that spoke to you also? Just briefly.
Because I think I'm a strong supporter of labor also, and I see the power in for example, the operations department. I think that when people think about this question, it's usually charter versus district run, and I think charter schools and district run schools, we need to work together and keep our conversation student centered rather than about adult ideologies and what we think. At the end of the day, we are affecting kids, and what another person thinks should not be negatively affecting student learning. And so I think that operations, for example, I think could happen at a district level, and district could manage operations. So I have trouble with these questions because I strongly believe that in the future we can work together and create a structure and system where best practices can be shared. So they're not only happening in individual schools, but where the district is also helping manage systems and helping manage equity among schools.
Thank you. Our next question is from Danielle.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Danielle Mackey. I'm a USD parent, and I'm a leader with United Families Building Community. There are over 49,000 Oakland students in public schools, of which about 12,000 attend charter schools. OUSD has recently announced an initiative called the Equity Pledge, which is meant to create a new culture of cooperation between district and charter schools. As a result of this cooperation, new agreements can be created to address equity issues in a number of areas between district and charter schools. Ultimately, it should strengthen public education across the city. Equity issues do exist across the district and charter schools, and that addressing these issues head-on will ensure a higher quality education for more students. GO believes that cooperation between district and charter schools is not simply best practice, but is necessary for a healthy Oakland. Everybody will have to and should make compromises on behalf of all students. You will have 4 minutes to answer this two-part question. Number one, do you support the Equity Pledge initiative? Why or why not? Number two, do you believe that you will hold some responsibility towards charter school students, or why not? How will this affect your decision towards becoming a USD supporter?
Thank you. So this question, I think, relates back to the last statement I made about the equity pledge. I am in full support of it. I think it's absolutely necessary. It's not a choice. I think that when we choose to work in silo and we don't collaborate, we end up hurting students and we end up hurting the community members. And growing up in Oakland, there are so many other obstacles outside of school that make life so challenging and that create a sense of hopelessness. So I think if we are about kids and if we're really about union and if we're really about working together and empowering our students to have a voice, we need to work together for the better of our kids' education. I have a sister who is in our school district attending a school, and I also have nephews and nieces who are part in the district. So it's very personal to me, not only with my students, but also my family members. And for me, it's important that my mom doesn't think what school can best serve the learning needs and address my daughter's learning disability, and that she has to like fight to get her daughter into that school. That should not be the experience that parents are having. Parents should be able to trust their neighborhood school and should be able to trust schools that are already there to best serve their kids. That's not the case right now. And so I'm very interested in making sure that every school can serve students equally and can have positive outcomes for students, and that we are not creating this environment and system for kids who are already from a low-income, disempowered, disenfranchised community, that this is not another battle, another hurdle that they need to get over. This should be a given. Students should have access to a quality school, whether they go to West Oakland or in East Oakland in the Fruitvale. And I think that the only way to make that happen, that kind of quality, ensure that quality anywhere, is for us to work together. Again, we need to, I've heard many conversations, have been in conversations where people are really pro-charter or anti-charter. And I think at the end of the day, we need to break that barrier and sit down and get rid of our adult egos and adult politics and adult mind and think about the kids. Because while we're having that conversation, kids are dropping out of school, kids are being killed in the street, like my former student Jacob, or my cousin Erain, who went to Fremont, dropped out, and ended up not having many life opportunities and ended up dead 2 years ago. So to me, this is very, very personal. We need to make sure that we are fair with our community, that we're not creating additional hurdles, that my mom has to talk to this person to try and get my sister into this school for her to be best served. We should be ensuring that every kid has access to that and get rid of our adult egos and conversations, our ideologies, because at the end of the day, my parents in at Lazier Charter Academy do not have the privilege of having this charter versus non-charter conversation. And we need to make sure that we need to get rid of that conversation, work through that conversation, and work together. And so as a board member, I think I would be in support of the equity pledge, and that as a school member, this would affect my decision making, because again, charter schools are public schools, and we need to make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable as board members to every child, every family in Oakland, not just district-run schools or charter schools.
Thank you. Next question is Priscilla.